What if I told you that the DNA of Turkish people is like a living map, tracing the paths of ancient migrations, the rise and fall of empires, and the blending of cultures across thousands of years? Turkey, a land situated at the crossroads of Europe and Asia, holds within its borders not just centuries of history, but also a genetic story that connects continents and civilizations in ways you'd never imagine. Imagine uncovering the secrets of Neolithic farmers who shaped Europe, the influence of Turkic migrations from Central Asia, and the lasting genetic imprints of ancient Anatolian empires. Turkish DNA is unlike any other. It's a mosaic of ancestry that reflects a unique combination of history, geography, and culture. But how did this genetic signature come to be? What makes it so distinct from neighboring regions? In this video, we'll unravel the mystery of why Turkish DNA is so unique. From groundbreaking genetic studies to the fascinating stories hidden within haplogroups, we'll explore what makes Turkey's genetic heritage not only special but crucial to understanding the broader history of humanity. Stay tuned, because by the end of this journey, you'll see how Turkish DNA isn't just about the past. It's a key to understanding our shared human story. Let's dive in. Turkey's location is no accident when it comes to its incredible genetic diversity. Situated at the meeting point of Europe, Asia, and the Middle East, it has always been more than just a bridge between continents. It's been a destination, a melting pot, and a home to countless civilizations. For over 10,000 years, people have traveled through Anatolia, bringing with them their cultures, languages, and, of course, their DNA. This land has witnessed the migrations of Neolithic farmers who revolutionized agriculture, the Hittites who left their mark on early civilization, and empires like the Byzantines and Romans, who forever altered the cultural landscape. But the story doesn't end there. In the 11th century, the Turkic migrations added another chapter to Anatolia's history. These groups introduced a new language, culture, and genetic contributions, blending with the people who had been rooted here for centuries. What's fascinating is how Turkey's unique position turned it into more than just a crossroads. It became a genetic archive. Every migration, every empire, and every cultural shift left behind a trace in the DNA of modern Turkish people. It's this extraordinary blend of influences that sets Turkish DNA apart and makes it such a compelling subject for genetic research. And here's the real question. How much of that history is still visible in the genetic makeup of modern-day Turkey? To answer that, we need to look deeper into the composition of Turkish DNA and what it reveals about the connections that link us all. When scientists analyze the DNA of modern Turkish people, they uncover a fascinating mosaic, a genetic signature that blends ancestry from multiple regions across thousands of years. The genetic composition of Turkey today reflects a long history of migrations, interactions, and exchanges that shaped the land and its people. One of the most striking findings is the degree of genetic diversity within Turkey. Studies show that Turkish DNA connects deeply to regions like the Balkans, the Middle East, and Central Asia, with smaller yet significant links to South Asia. What's fascinating is how these layers of ancestry overlap, forming a complex genetic profile unique to Turkey. Another unique feature is how this diversity creates a sense of unity within the Turkish population. Despite contributions from so many regions, studies show that modern Turkey's genetic structure is remarkably homogeneous. This suggests that over time, extensive intermarriages and movements within Anatolia led to genetic blending, erasing clear distinctions that might otherwise exist between regions. But beyond percentages and patterns, Turkish DNA tells a deeper story, one of resilience and adaptation. From the earliest civilizations in Anatolia to later migrations from Central Asia, Turkish DNA reflects the survival and synthesis of human populations through some of history's most transformative eras. This genetic richness not only defines the uniqueness of Turkish DNA but also positions Turkey as a vital link in understanding human history on a global scale. One of the most remarkable aspects of Turkish DNA lies in its rare genetic variants. These unique markers not only highlight Turkey's distinct genetic profile but also open doors to groundbreaking scientific discoveries. In a major study of over 3,000 Turkish individuals, researchers identified that 21% of the genetic variants found in Turkish DNA are unique to this population, a significant figure compared to most other regions. These rare variants often appear in the form of homozygous loss-of-function mutations, which have the potential to reveal new insights into genetic diseases. To further explore these findings, scientists created the Turkish variome, a comprehensive catalogue of genetic data exclusive to Turkey. This variome is not just a scientific achievement, it's a powerful tool for understanding hereditary diseases and advancing personalized medicine. Researchers can now trace conditions that may disproportionately affect the Turkish population and find solutions tailored to their unique genetic makeup. What's also fascinating is how these variants help scientists trace historical gene flow. By analyzing rare mutations, researchers can better understand how Turkey's genetic diversity came to exist, linking ancient Anatolian populations, Balkan migrations, and Central Asian influences into one cohesive story. But it's not just history or health that makes these rare variants so significant. They also serve as a testament to the incredible genetic adaptability of the Turkish population, a people who have thrived for thousands of years at the intersection of countless migrations and cultural shifts. This uniqueness isn't just a scientific curiosity. It's proof that Turkey's genetic legacy is as complex and extraordinary as its history itself. When discussing Turkish DNA, the influence of Central Asia often takes center stage. The arrival of Turkic-speaking Oghuz groups in the 10th and 11th centuries brought not only linguistic and cultural changes but also genetic contributions that still resonate in modern Turkey. Studies show that the Central Asian genetic contribution to Turkish DNA ranges between 9% and 30%, depending on whether maternal, paternal, or autosomal markers are analyzed. This variability reflects how migration and intermarriage blended Turkic DNA with the rich genetic tapestry of Anatolia's existing populations. One fascinating detail is how genetic studies differentiate the Turkic influence from linguistic and cultural ties. For instance, while the Turkish language has strong Central Asian roots, the genetic footprint of these migrations was less overwhelming than some might expect. Instead of completely replacing local populations, the Oghuz Turks integrated into the Anatolian region, blending their DNA with people who had lived there for millennia. Even more intriguing is how this blending mirrors historical patterns. For example, studies of ancient populations like the Xiongnu from Mongolia, a group believed to have connections to early Turkic peoples, reveal genetic links between Central Asia and regions farther west, including Anatolia. This demonstrates that connections between East and West Eurasia predate the Oghuz migrations by thousands of years. But while the Central Asian contribution may seem modest in percentage, its impact is significant. It introduced not just genetic markers but also cultural traits that transformed Anatolia, setting the foundation for the rise of empires like the Seljuks and Ottomans. These genetic traces are a reminder of how even small migrations can leave lasting marks on history. The Central Asian legacy in Turkish DNA is a perfect example of how human populations adapt, evolve, and merge over time, creating a story far richer than any single origin. Before the Turkic migrations, Anatolia had already been home to some of the most ancient civilizations in human history. The DNA of modern Turkish people contains echoes of these early populations, providing a direct link to the Neolithic farmers and ancient Anatolians who shaped the region thousands of years ago. One of the most significant genetic legacies comes from the Neolithic Revolution, when early Anatolian farmers spread agriculture to Europe and beyond. These farmers carried unique genetic markers that can still be traced in the DNA of both modern Europeans and Turkish people. This connection suggests that Anatolia was not just a bridge for migration but also a starting point for cultural and genetic innovation. Studies of mitochondrial DNA, passed down maternally, have revealed striking continuity between ancient Anatolians and present-day Turks. For example, haplogroups like J2, associated with early farming communities, are still highly prevalent in Turkey today. This shows that despite later migrations, the core genetic makeup of Anatolia's ancient populations remains deeply embedded in the region's modern DNA. But the legacy of ancient Anatolians goes beyond genetics. They left behind a cultural and architectural heritage that shaped the civilizations that followed. From the Hittites to the Phrygians, these early populations played a critical role in the development of the region's identity, an influence that is still reflected in Turkey's genetic and cultural fabric. What's truly remarkable is how this ancient genetic continuity coexists with the diverse contributions from later migrations. It's a testament to the resilience of Anatolian populations, who absorb new influences while preserving the core of their heritage. The DNA of modern Turkish people is not just a blend of global ancestries, it's a living reminder of the civilizations that laid the foundation for human progress in this historic land. To truly understand the uniqueness of Turkish DNA, we have to look at haplogroups, genetic markers that trace deep ancestral lineages through the Y chromosome, paternal, and mitochondrial DNA, maternal. These haplogroups act like timestamps in human history, mapping the migrations and cultural exchanges that shaped the genetic makeup of the modern Turkish population. One of the most common haplogroups in Turkey is J2, which has its origins in the Fertile Crescent and is closely linked to early Anatolian farmers. This haplogroup not only reflects the agricultural revolution that began here but also the spread of farming to Europe, connecting Turkish people to one of humanity's most transformative periods. Another prominent haplogroup is R1b, which is widespread across Europe and ties Turkish DNA to ancient populations in the Balkans and Central Europe. Meanwhile, R1a, also present in Turkey, traces its lineage to regions farther east, hinting at interactions with steppe populations. From Central Asia, haplogroups like Q and L appear, providing direct evidence of the Turkic migrations that brought new cultural and genetic influences to Anatolia. While their overall contribution is smaller than some might expect, these haplogroups are crucial in marking the genetic legacy of the august Turks. On the maternal side, mitochondrial haplogroups like H and U dominate, with both being widely distributed across Europe and West Asia. Interestingly, haplogroup T, which appears at high frequencies in Turkey, has links to the Caucasus and ancient populations in the region, further highlighting Anatolia's role as a genetic crossroads. What makes these haplogroups fascinating is how they overlap with historical events. Each one tells a story of migration, adaptation, and survival, whether it's the Neolithic farmers spreading agriculture, the steppe nomads traveling westward, or the Central Asian Turkic tribes blending into Anatolia's existing population. Together, these haplogroups reveal the layers of ancestry that make Turkish DNA so unique. It's not just a mix of genes, it's a living archive of human history, where every marker connects to a moment in time that shaped the world as we know it. One of the most fascinating discoveries about Turkish DNA is the high level of genetic homogeneity across the country. Despite its vast geography and diverse cultural influences, modern Turkey's population shows remarkable genetic consistency. This means that people from different regions, whether they are from Istanbul, Kayseri, or Aydin, share a similar genetic profile. How did this happen? The answer lies in centuries of intermarriage and migration within Anatolia. Unlike populations that remained isolated, the people of Turkey experienced continuous movement and blending, creating a unified genetic structure. This process erased sharp regional genetic differences, leaving behind a population that appears surprisingly cohesive in its DNA. But genetic homogeneity doesn't mean lack of diversity. In fact, the opposite is true. Turkey's genetic profile reflects a rich history of admixture from neighboring regions, including the Balkans, the Caucasus, and the Middle East. It's this unique combination of historical blending and modern-day uniformity that makes Turkey's population genetically distinct. Another interesting finding comes from studies of runs of homozygosity, ROH, which measure long stretches of identical genes inherited from both parents. Turkish populations show moderate levels of ROH, often linked to historical patterns of inbreeding in smaller or isolated communities. This insight not only helps us understand Turkey's genetic past but also provides valuable data for medical research, especially in identifying genetic diseases. What's even more intriguing is that Turkey's genetic homogeneity doesn't erase its links to other populations. Studies show close relationships with neighboring Balkan and Caucasian groups, reinforcing the idea that Turkey is both a genetic melting pot and a bridge between continents. In a way, the genetic uniformity of modern Turkey serves as a reminder of the country's incredible history. It's a testament to the blending of civilizations, the movement of people, and the enduring connections that define Anatolia as one of the most significant crossroads in human history. Turkey's genetic story wouldn't be complete without understanding the role of admixture and genetic drift, two powerful forces that have shaped the DNA of its people over millennia. Admixture occurs when populations with different genetic backgrounds mix, and in Turkey, this process has been continuous and extensive. From the arrival of Neolithic farmers to the migrations of Turkic-speaking groups, and even the movements of people during the Roman and Ottoman empires, each wave of migration contributed to the genetic blend we see today. This rich history of interactions is why Turkish DNA reflects ancestries from regions as diverse as the Balkans, the Caucasus, the Middle East, and Central Asia. Genetic drift, on the other hand, works in more subtle ways. Over time, small population groups, often isolated or bottlenecked, experience changes in their genetic diversity due to chance. In Turkey, certain regions may have experienced genetic drift during periods of reduced mobility or social isolation, especially in rural or mountainous areas. This is visible in the presence of rare genetic variants that are unique to certain communities. What makes Turkey's genetic structure so fascinating is how these two processes work together. Admixture brought a wealth of diversity, while genetic drift preserved rare variants and localized traits. This combination created a genetic profile that is both globally connected and uniquely Turkish. For example, the presence of runs of homozygosity, ROH, in Turkish DNA highlights how some populations experienced genetic bottlenecks in the past, while others maintain genetic diversity through admixture. This duality helps explain why Turkish DNA has both a high degree of genetic blending and distinct characteristics that stand out in global comparisons. Ultimately, the role of admixture and genetic drift underscores the complexity of Turkey's genetic legacy. It's not just the result of one migration or one empire, it's the culmination of countless interactions, blending the past into a genetic tapestry that is as intricate as the country's history itself. Turkish DNA isn't just a fascinating record of history, it's also a treasure trove for modern science and medicine. The genetic studies conducted on Turkey's population have uncovered critical insights that are shaping the future of medical research, both within Turkey and globally. One groundbreaking achievement is the development of the Turkish variome. This comprehensive catalogue of genetic variations unique to the Turkish population has revolutionized how scientists approach genetic diseases. Rare and unique variants identified in the Turkish variome have already provided clues about hereditary conditions and how they manifest in this region. These findings are paving the way for personalized medicine, where treatments can be tailored to an individual's genetic profile. A key discovery from Turkish DNA research involves homozygous loss-of-function mutations, rare genetic changes that result in inactive or non-functional genes. These mutations are invaluable to scientists because they help reveal the function of specific genes and their role in diseases. Turkish populations, due to their unique genetic structure and history, have proven to be a critical resource in identifying these mutations. Another scientific breakthrough comes from using Turkish DNA for genome-wide association studies, GWAS. By analyzing the genetic markers in Turkish populations, researchers can identify risk factors for common diseases like cardiovascular conditions, diabetes, and neurological disorders. These studies don't just benefit Turkey, they contribute to global databases and advance our understanding of human health on a broader scale. But it's not just about rare diseases. The genetic diversity found in Turkey's population also offers clues about how people adapt to their environments over time. For example, certain genetic markers related to metabolic conditions or immune system function may have evolved as a response to environmental challenges, such as food availability or exposure to pathogens. The significance of Turkish DNA extends far beyond its borders. It's helping scientists connect the dots between ancient populations, modern health, and the future of genetics. As researchers continue to analyze Turkey's genetic landscape, it's clear that this unique population holds answers to some of the most pressing questions in medicine and human biology. Turkish DNA isn't just a story of the past, it's a key to unlocking the future of science. So, what is it that makes Turkish DNA truly unique? It's not just the numbers or percentages, it's the incredible story that those numbers tell. Turkish DNA is a living chronicle of humanity's history, shaped by migrations, empires, and the blending of cultures over thousands of years. At its core, Turkish DNA reflects a remarkable mosaic of ancestries. It's a mix of European, Middle Eastern, South Asian, and Central Asian lineages, layered with contributions from ancient Anatolian populations and later migrations. But what sets it apart is the way these influences have come together, creating a population that is both genetically diverse and uniquely cohesive. The rare genetic variants found in Turkey tell a story of adaptation and survival. These markers don't just connect the Turkish people to their past, they are helping scientists uncover new insights into genetic diseases and the development of personalized medicine. It's a powerful reminder that our DNA isn't just about where we come from, it's also about where we're going. Then there's the cultural and historical significance. Turkey's location as a crossroads of civilizations meant that it wasn't just a land people passed through. It was a place where they stayed, mixed, and thrived. This blending is what makes Turkish DNA a genetic time capsule, preserving the imprints of ancient farmers, steppe nomads, and powerful empires. But perhaps the most extraordinary thing about Turkish DNA is how it reminds us of the connections that unite us all. Despite its unique features, Turkish DNA also highlights the shared threads of humanity, showing how people from different regions and backgrounds have come together throughout history to shape the world we live in today. So, whether you're fascinated by genetics, history, or the ways in which our past informs our future, Turkish DNA is a story worth exploring. It's a testament to the resilience of humanity, the power of connection, and the beauty of diversity. What surprised you the most about the genetic makeup of Turkey? Let us know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this journey into the science of DNA and history, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. There's so much more to uncover about the stories hidden in our DNA, and we can't wait to explore them with you.